Yes, you did read that title correctly. One of my recent PC builds that I sold to a customer was involved in a house fire. Next, this gaming PC actually made me one of my biggest profit margins ever since I started building and selling PCs. Lastly, I wanted to give myself a challenge and see which of these two PCs actually sold faster than the other. And welcome back to the channel, where this channel is dedicated to flipping PCs for profit. If you're new here, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button for me. Now in this video, I am going to be discussing the two PCs that are directly behind me. But before I get into that, I need to go over what I just talked about in the intro. So back in February, I sold a PC build that had a Ryzen 5 2600 RTX 2060 with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. Now last month in early May, the customer I sold it to did hit me up back on Facebook saying, hey, he had no problem with his PC. And some of the things the buyer said was he bought a PC from me late February, but he recently just had a house fire. And I hate hearing stuff like this because life happens and some of the worst things happen to some of the best people. But okay, hold on. Pause the clip. So apparently how the house fire started was his own cousin set a candle. He lit a candle and set the candle on the bed and let the bed catch on fire, and then that fire spread all across the room, essentially almost burning this guy's house down. So here are some before and after shots from the smoke and the fire and just the build up tar on his PC. Now this PC you see on your screen made me over $539.77. It has an i5 11 Gen in it, a 3070, 1 terabyte of storage, and 32 gigabytes of RAM in the SAMA SV02 case. Now this 3070 build was the build for my previous episode where I talked about some Facebook Marketplace deals, and I actually sold a different computer on there, and I ended up building this PC on that episode as well. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend go watching that episode of Flipping PCs for Profit. Now, I've seen plenty of YouTubers try to see which PCs sell faster than the other. I also want to try to do that as well. Now, most YouTubers, they normally have like the same specs or very similar specs. In this case, these two I would say are a generation behind each other. So in this black case is a Ryzen 5, I want to say 3600X with a 3060. And in this white case is a Ryzen 7 2700X, and that has a 2070 Super. And what I want to see is which one sells quicker than the other one. I do plan on selling the black case PC for $750 and the white case one for $650. Let me know down in the comments which PC build you prefer, the black case or the white case. I know the white is a mini PC and the black is a normal ATX case, but let me know which one is more aesthetically pleasing to you and which one would you prefer to buy if you was in a store and saw these two matched up against each other. But these two PCs took me a long time to get together, and I'll show you in this video. I tried starting to build the white mini PC back on May 17th. But as you see in the video, the case came broken. Like the tempered glass was already broken, and that was the first time I ever experienced anything like that. So it took me like a day or so to get it back shipped back to Newegg, and then it took them like 3 weeks to get me shipped a new one. It took such a long time, but within that process, I was able to build this black PC, and I just went ahead and waited on the case to come back, and so I was finally able to get the new case for the mini PC back and build that one, and hopefully I can finally get this video out. Now for the benchmarks, this is the 2070 build. As far as the frame rate, it is giving around 60 frames per second, 60 to 65. And it did have some moments where it reached around 40 some frames per second, around 45. But this is in 1440p. I forgot to bring it down to 1080p. But I'm very surprised that it's 2070 Super to be able to get average around 60, 65 frames in 1440p on Warzone. Now on to Fortnite. This gameplay is in 1080p. And I was able to reach around 105 to like 108 frames per second on average. You see the 75 average on the right, but that's because I was in the loading menu. But It gave me around 100 to 105 frames per second in 1080p. Pretty good performance for a little bit older GPU. And the last game for this 2070 Super build is Cyberpunk. It's a AAA title game, and it is pretty difficult to run on most gaming PCs. But this 2070 Super did surprise me. It averaged a little bit over 60 frames per second. I did enable ray tracing, but I didn't enable anything else after that. But in 60 frames per second for 1080p gaming on this AAA title, performed pretty well. Now we're on a 3060 build, and this is also in 1440p. This game gave me around 80 frames per second in 1440p on Warzone and played pretty well. Anyone else play Warzone on casual and just run into a lot of bots like this one, I think it makes the game just a little bit more enjoyable than the original Warzone, but that's just me. But let me know down in the comments what you think about the new Warzone. Now, the staying in 1440p resolution on the 3060 build, Fortnite gave me around 85 to 90 frames per second. It did hit some lows right at 80 or 78 frames per second, but it stayed pretty consistent and it ran pretty well and smooth. And this was also with high settings, so 3060 ran great. And of course, Cyberpunk is the last game I tested on this 3060 build. Again, I decided to stay in 1440p just to show the performance it has. And this game did give me around 66 frames per second on average in 1440p with ray tracing enabled, but nothing else enabled under it. So if you want to enable a couple other things, it's definitely going to drop below 60. But for probably in 1080p, it's probably going to run pretty well for you. So this 3060 is really performing. So I was able to finally get the answer to my question of which PC would sell faster. And it actually turned out to be the mini white PC. And I listed both PCs on Java.gg under Device Guru Plus. You can find my builds there. And I have a website here that you can see. I will start posting my builds here once I get everything finished. But be on the lookout for me to let you guys know this website is up and running. So the mini PC did sell on Java for $700. But after taxes and Java's cut, I walked away with $607.25, which left me a profit of $160.04. So this was my first time using this expanding packing foam, and it was an interesting experience. It took me like 3 or 4 times to finally get it right, as you see in the video. And that foam, when it expands, it makes this loud popping sound, and it is also extremely hot. So just be prepared for that if you guys ship PCs. It is pretty hot.